说 Good evening, Sean. Good evening. Shia, can you hear me?
Prague. The Agam is
Yeah.
trying to join. They're just getting the passport from Mordechai.
You see, this happens to be this.
I'm muted.
No. But this computer.
Don't hear you, Prague.
Oh. But you hear me?
Maybe you're muted, maybe?
Let me see. Man.
Don't hear you.
I don't think I'm muted. Just a minute. Just a minute.
Oh, Ali's on.
Now it's good? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I hear.
Okay.
Ali, able to hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know if Mordechai is on or not?
Let's see.
Odd luck.
I saw today something very, very interesting. Let's look at the chart. The Koyanim in general cannot become Tomei to anyone except to the seven relatives. The Kohen Gadol, oh, hi Mordechai, how are you? Wow. Anyway, what's the pshat? Listen first what the Kotzker says, Mamash Apela Kazach. I'm just adding to what he says, but I'm giving an introduction. The Gemara says in Megillah, the Gemara says the end of Marcus, that the reason why the mothers of the Kohanim Gedolim used to send the packages of food is to prevent the murderers to daven that the children should die. Frag the Gemara, and if they daven that the Kohen Gadol should die, why would it affect him? And the Gemara, shehoyer lo lispalel, you hear my say? Kohen Gadol had to daven this murder should not occur. The guy killed B'Shoigeg. You see that the position of a Kohen Gadol is such, you hear? It is mamash mechuba to Klal Yisrael. Everything he does is affecting, for good or bad. Says the Kotzker, the level of Avas Yisrael that is expected from the Kohen Gadol, v'noso es shmoiso mal libo itomid, is such that you cannot be an ovel and a brother or a father. Klal Yisrael is your children. This is your family. This is mamash pachad. The Torah says that by doing, if you would be mitame to the relatives, the same as the regular Koyanim, basically you're saying, this is my family. There's nothing wrong having a family, but Klal Yisrael is your family. It's beyond our understanding, but you can hear. There's a famous Maaseh, Reb David Lelover was one of the be'emes from the early generations, real Oyave Klal Yisrael. His son was very, very sick. And the Chassidim obviously made a big deal. They fasted and they gave tzedakah, mitgidam, and Baruch Hashem. The kid was cured. After he was cured, the Rebbe started to cry. So people say, Rebbe, what are you crying now? He says, I'm crying, this is my kid. There are so many other Jewish kids who are sick. This is exactly what the Kotzker said. This is what expected. It's expected from the Kohen Gadol. I mean, it's as the Otman getracht in Kotsk, you know what I mean? But then I saw, so what's the pshat that Koyanim Gedolim are obligated, remember, not permitted, obligated, regular Koyanim to be metamed to the families. But remember, we are human. When the Pasuk says Tov lo leches or of Evel meleches beis hamishte. Remember, we have a society, we have Baruch Hashem, all the dinim and hanogas of Klal Yisrael, but by Chazal, in the eyes of Shlomo HaMelech, Beis Evel is a place for it, it's a wake-up call. It says, even the Koyanim serving in Beis HaMikdash need this experience of, Rahman al-Litzlan, each one of us was attending funerals. To see a man being put in a casket, in a wooden casket, and he says the Torah wants the Koyanim to have this experience, to remind them what, now, the vote is a maverick vote, okay, in both ways. Kohen Gadol comes, he does, other the Rosh, other does Kenyan Barat to his face. No, but think how many of the Rishonim could even say it. He says, what's the pshat that the Kohen Gadol cannot marry a widow? Why? He says, because the Kohanim Gedolim knew Hashem HaMeforos, you hear this? So if he would be allowed to marry a widow, he might use, you hear this, the power that he has to daven that the husband of a woman that he's attracted to should die, because he wants to marry her. So the Torah, you'll never marry her. Wir reden nicht jetzt im Beis Sheni, ja? Wir reden jetzt im Beis Rishon. And the Kohen Gadol is in charge of Klal Yisrael. The avoiding Yom Kippur has to do with him. But this is the vote that Klal Yisrael is, the Torah is teaching us here. Because he is so big, but he's human. And when you're human, Chas v'sholem, you have a strong inner desire to something, you never know how far you can go. Bianca Freiman in his Sefer, Darkei Musar, is using this idea. I mean, he doesn't bring the Kenim, but he says like this. The Torah says that the Koyanim, K'doishim iyu le'Elohim, yes? Highest darge, V'lo yechalalu Hashem Elokeim. Lo yechalalu is the lowest. It says, because you are on such a high level, each one of us is the same, but we never reach to such levels. But because there are such higher levels, you never know where you might end up. There are many, many stories and many, many Gdolim, yes. But in certain situations of missionaries and this and that, people told him, you? He says, yes, but a mensch. We are afraid to look at ourselves this way, but this is the Metzias. The Metzias is in the introduction to Chelek Aleph of the Sefer of Rabbi Yerucham, Das Chochma U'Musar. So they have two, not askomes, but one is what Moshe Rosenstein, the Mashgiach of Lomshe, wrote. And then a letter from Tzvi Broide. But anyway, Moshe Rosenstein writes like this. He was learning it tells. And he says, I mean, it was obvious to everyone that Rabbi Yerucham is especially, this is Rabbi Yerucham in the young years, yes? And he says he was the one, Moshe Rosenstein writes in his own book, that he always, tremendous Akoras HaTorah, that Rabbi Yerucham introduced him to Kelem, to Musar. Anyway, he says, I was young, and I was asking him, how is it possible, you read Sefer Bamidbar, with all the mistakes that Klal Yisrael did. This is Klal Yisrael. You see Amud Eish, Amud Onon, you came out of Mitzrayim, you have a Matan Torah. So here you have to see the language there. He says, I expected him to give me a philosophical, tiefe Mussar. So he says, Rabbi Yerucham hat mir gesagt, he started to sing, Arboim shono kud bedoir vo'imar am toir levoveim, vehem le'yodut rochai. It's not the nigun, I'm sure Rabbi Yerucham sang, but he says he just quoted this pasuk. Says Rabbi Moshe Rosenstein, for that time, this was the best answer someone could have given me. What's makers? We like to think that, and be'emes we are. We are Bnei Torah, and we are trying to learn, we're trying to do avodah midas, but so was Klal Yisrael. Va'oimar am toyer levovim. The nisyones, when you are on a higher level, are much stronger. This is what the Darkei Mussar says. Kdoishim yiyu, but remember, v'lo yechalalu. The Zel Bazachi says, V'hoyoim shomoya tishmu el mitzvoyis asher omrechem etzav ve'eschem le'avo es Hashem Elokeichem. Le'avo, highest level you can reach. Few psukim later, Yishomru lochem v'nifta levavchem v'sartem v'avadetem. Which means this is the greatness of a human being. Tzelem Elokim, Hashem gives him givaldige koiches. But listen to Pshat, I think this does Kenny about that Tosfos. You hear? Torah aser den almone, because you have the power of using the Shema Mefoero shel Chas v'Sholem. If a man has a starke Yetzirah, might you look is in Perek Chof Beis, Pasuk Lamed Beis, but this has to do with a lot of Pasuk Lamed Aleph. The Pasuk says like this. This is right before Parshas Hamoyad. Ushmartem mitzvoisai v'asisem oisom ani Hashem. The next pasuk is v'lo yisachalalu Hashem kodshim v'nigdashtim etov v'yisov. This is Chilul Hashem, Kiddush Hashem. What is the pasuk Ushmartem es mitzvoisai doing here, and what's the pasuk teaching us? We have many warnings like this, and I saw Givaldik Azar. So, Ve'oviv Shomar es Adovo. After Yosef HaTzadik is telling the Yankov Avinu and the brothers his Cholem, Ve'oviv Shomar, sagt Rashi, Oyo Yosef u'metzape Yankov Avinu felt this is going to happen. So Shomar is when you are really waiting and expecting, you can't wait till here, Ushmartem mitzvoisai. You know, the famous question everyone talks about is, Taryag mitzvahs are keneged ramach evorim shesagidim. Everyone, each mitzvah is giving us ruchnis dike ashpoe, but most of the mitzvahs cannot be fulfilled by most of us. The Rambam, if you have the good Sefer HaMitzvahs, the Rambam has a list of 66 says mitzvahs that apply to every man everywhere. 66 out of. So how about the other mitzvahs? We're not farmers, we're not koyanim, we're not judges, we're not melech, we're not ladies either. And if the shleimus of the neshama can take place only if you fulfill everything, Basat Zayin. Hear what he says? Ushmartem mitzvoisai. If a man has a deep desire to do the other mitzvahs, Hashem counts it as if you did it, because it's a good Rashi, but the Maisa means if whatever you can do, you do well, and the rest you cannot, darf man nicht mehr, but der Avtoche, ושמרתם, ואביו שומר es Shabbos. There are many, many other rayas to this nekuda. And the starkste raya is tomorrow. Tomorrow is Pesach Sheni. ויהיו בני ישראל במדבר, and ויהיו אנושים אשר היו טמאים לנפש אדום, and they come to Moshe Rabbeinu, למה לגורע? Which type of a question is that? I forgot to put film today. למה לגורע? Not your phone. You went on a solar call, you voiced it b'mitzvah, you didn't put film. Which type of a taina? למה לגורע? Okay, you realize there are many, many explanations, but this is mamish the pshat. The fact that they came showed how much ushmartem es mitzvoisai, how much it bothered them. This is exactly what the Torah is teaching us with Pesach Sheni. Shem is saying, I'm giving everyone a second chance, but they had to express. The Torah introduces the topic of Pesach Sheni, but Vayiyu Anoshim, they coming to Moshe Rabbeinu. Which type of a time is that? You couldn't do it. Okay, so the Gemara said there were Oisek b'mitzvah, right? Oisek b'mitzvah, all this is good, but which type? How can I not have it? I mean, you know, all the real Hasidic Shemaises there. Rabbi Yitzchak Berditchev, the first night of Sukkot, couldn't fall asleep. Tomorrow morning, he couldn't wait till he puts it, till he shakes our meaning. Can you imagine the Madrega of Avodas Hashem? He said, but this is Shmartem es mitzvoisai, and this is Be'emes what Pesach Sheni is teaching us. You know, everyone knows the mitzvah of Kiddush Hashem and Chilul Hashem is in this week's parsha. ולא ישחלו להשם קודשי ונקדשתי בתוך בני ישראל. See, if you ask, you know, we all went through the same system more or less. Kiddush Hashem, a Yid does something extraordinary, everyone knows. Listen to the Rambam. You have a chance, you look like it. If you have Rambam, look at Rambam. Take out Sefer Mother. You saw that Torah. Let's bring the Rambam. Rambam in Yesod HaTorah in Perek Hey, when he talks about Chilul Hashem and Kiddush Hashem, if you have a Rambam, it's Sefer Mada Yesod HaTorah Perek Hey Aloch Yud. However, Bayas Chilul Hashem is, you know, everything we were taught in the Savad Emes. Listen to the Rambam. Kol oiver midaitoi veloi oines. Alachas mikol mitzvahs v'amuros b'Torah. A person knowingly and willingly is doing a avera. Bishat nefesh le'achis. He couldn't care less. Harei ze mechal es Hashem. Can you tell me what is the Rambam saying? A man that Shabbos after the Shabbat goes to his basement and takes out a cigarette. He's in Yeshiva Bocher, he knows everything. What is the Chilul Hashem here? No one knows about it. Reb Chaim Volozhin says in Nefesh HaChaim that Chilul is choil. A man that does something like this, he is Mechalet Hashem. Everyone has Hashem in him. Here, Bezodoin, Bishat Nefesh, Harei ze mechal. Listen to this now. אם עובר בעשור מישראל, הרי זה חילול השם ברגל. Now listen to this is the biggest chidush here. וכן, כל הפוירש מהעבירה, הוא also מצווה, לא מפני דובר בעולם, for no other reason. לא פחד, is not afraid from people, ולא ירא, ולא לבקש כובד, אלא מפני הבוירה ברוך הוא. Just because Hashem says so. כמניעס יוסף הצדיק עצמוי, מאישס רבוי, הרי זה מקדש השם. What is the Kiddush Hashem by Yosef? Avada demais is neir leroes. Kiddush Hashem? This is Kiddush Hashem. A man that is able to say no. And he says to her, V'chotosi leloikim. The only reason he's not doing it, V'chotosi leloikim. Says the Rambam, there's no one around. It's not a Kiddush Hashem for the Goy, for hell. It's for him. The Mavlik Rambam, for Chilul and Kiddush. Of course, if it's being done in public or this or that, but normally we like to hear grand stories that everyone, we don't need anyone. Yosef HaTzadik, he given allein ishtu with the Goye, and he says, no, v'chotos elokim, finished. Rambam is using it as an example. Okay, later the Rambam says, things that people expect us to do or not to do, and we do, we don't do. This is it. The Medrash brings a story that Rabbi Shimon ben Shetach or his Talmidim purchased a donkey and he found the hidden jewel. And obviously the guy that sold it to him was not the owner of the expensive jewel because otherwise he would not sell him. Anyway, Rabbi Shimon ben Shetach says to his Talmidim, return it to him, it's not mine. They told him Hashem sent you a gift. I would say the same, believe me. Chamoyer lokachti, even lo lokachti. They gave it back to the Goy. You know what the Goy said? Brich Eloika, the Rabbi Shimon ben Shetach. You read this? He benched, he's the God from Rabbi Shimon ben Shetach. What did he say? Why didn't he say, blessed is the Rabbi? Rabbi, you are and amazing, so honest, so says Rabbi Ruchem, the Goy understood that to reach this level of honesty, you have to be a believer in Hashem. Here it is. The Goy understood, Brich Elokah, Rabbi Shimon ben Shetach. Those of the Rambam. Yosef HaTzadik, abandoned by his family, she's after him non-stop. V'chotosi lelokim. V'chotosi lelokim. This is, by the Rambam, an example of Sikadai to wissen that Islabotka used to say it again and again. I have the Medrash in another room, but if you look at Medrash Rabbah, the Medrash Rabbah says that he used to tell her, look, Chogilu HaKadosh Baruch Hu lios lo ya'uvim b'beis Abba. HaKadosh Baruch Hu always is selecting from our family someone special. He used Yitzchok Avinu as a, says, if I am going to do what you want me to do, I'm definitely not going to. So Islabotka used to say, du redst doch mit a niederike Brie. You're talking to her, and you're telling him, okay, that's Yitzchok, you're telling her. Gesagt Islabotka is not saying it to her, he's saying it to himself. I am a prince. I am a Ben Melech. The Eibishter, zu unserer Mishpoche, he has special missions. Of course, he's telling it to her, but he read zu sich. Aber und der Rambam says, das ist Kiddush Hashem. But the power that Yosef HaTzadik had geboit bei sich, and as you know, all the Meforshim say, this koyach, secured Klal Yisrael in the future when they came to Mitzrayim, even though they did many averas, but no znus, because of this mindset that he did by himself. Mitvos Robinu HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boys, have a wonderful Shabbos. Hashem, this Shabbos, my wife and myself are coming to your place.
Oh, wow. Dann, so ein Patsch gewinnt am Tag, jetzt Zadig Balia. Nicht gewusst, ich habe gewonnen, die Welt der Zadig, weiß ich schon.
Ich darf machen ein Appointment.
Ist nicht
Wir
doch
legen ein
kein
Appointment.
Who's the guy? Who's the guy?
A viel und nicht bei der ersten Minion, nicht doch kein Appointments.
Not for too long. Not for too long.
Where's the Rav
Morning, do I have
Yerucham
one?
ben Shattach?
What?
Rav Yerucham ben Shimon ben Shattach, the Metish Brichelakai.
I wrote it someplace. If you look in the in the Mafter, yeah. If you have the old edition or the new one, even
That's the new one.
If the new one, you'll definitely have it. And I think the Medrash is somewhere in Bereshis. But anyway, if you look on I checked it somewhere. It's not, but this it's a word to remember. Versteht? Der Goy darf verstehen. Es ist nicht der Goy, ich darf verstehen. Es ist nicht der Goy, aber der Goy hat das verstanden. Verstehst du?
I know someone that asked for David Feinstein Aloha Lamaisa that there was a guy who was trying to do business with a guy, a big steel company, and he did a big favor for this year. And like a year later, he ordered from him a lot of steel. It was a big Parnasa thing. The guy realized when he looked at the plans that it was for a church. He called his Rav in Lakewood. He told him, so Rufen by Shmuel Kamenetsky. Shmuel told him, as I said, I've been Rav David Feinstein. Rav David told him, he shouldn't do it. B'shum finished. Kitzer, a few weeks later, B'shu Eichenstein from Eretz Yisrael was by him. He told him over the Meise, and he told him a ganze Stück Teufel, for was is nicht kein Problem bechlal. They called back up Shmuel, and Shmuel said, "Darf man rufen bei Rav David noch einmal?" A whole Meise, he told him if David has Ruach HaKodesh, whatever. That was a separate Meise. He called back Rav David, and Rav David was Eish Lahava, you're hacking a Chainik, and you're this. So he tells Rav David, was is mit Chila Hashem? David told me, weiß nicht, was Chila Hashem, hat nicht gescheicht mit der Goy. Chila Hashem means, without telling the richtige Sache, he said, I'll tell you even a bigger Chiddush. There's no problem for you to explain to the guy why you're not doing it. Say it nicely. Ich kann nicht für a church. And it's nicht kein Scheiß von Chila Hashem Shemayim. He told me, I don't miss the boat. That Chila Hashem, they're busy with Goy and Chila Hashem Shemayim.
Right.
Rambam.
Listen to a paradigm happens to me in Saket Lake in the summer. Once we spoke about it. A fellow, this is like an old fellow. He came to America in 56 from Hungary. His specialty is old silver. His mom is a mumche otzum to fix, the old silver. Listen to this. He says to me, a priest came to his shop and he says, you have an amazing name as a craftsman. The Yoshke, a big Yoshke is gefallen by him in church and was damaged, and he wants him to fix it. And the fee was a very big fee. So this guy gave me, er nicht gelernt in Ponovich, nicht in Lakewood. So he says to him, this is Amalek Yidden.
Yeah.
I need a week to tell you if I can do it. So the priest was a very smart man. He says to him, so you are looking on us as idol worshippers. He says, I didn't say anything. I need a week to give you an answer. Hey, after a week, the priest comes and he says, the guy told me the story. He says to him, Your Honor, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Huh? And he says to me, and I felt, who knows, was a tracht of me, Listen to this. He says, 10 days later, a woman walks into my business with 2 big shopping bags, big pieces of silver, Amalek silver, a huge job. So I told her, how did you find my name? He says, the priest told me to come to you. He says, if a Jew gave up such a lucrative job for his beliefs, he's an honest man. Says to me, the customers that he sent me covered me much more. That makes no difference. But I say,
Oh, was a Goyish afraid that came in?
Yeah.
The Goyish, this is a
Right.
member of the church of this place.
Goyische Freude.
Chotschek sie dich geate Joschke, was hat gefragt der Rob, verstehst?
Yeah.
Weil das du mir erzählt. So, aber du verstehst, bei MS, wir können fragen, tausend, Ramosha has a tshuva. Ramosha has a tshuva. If you're an engineer, can you write a plan not to visit for a church? Look, this is better on it. Don't come because you're not doing anything in the church. You're just writing there.
Yeah.
Okay. Im Hashem, I'll probably see you on Shabbos. Seid gesund. Gute Nacht. Mordechai, call to.
All too.
Saba.
Yes. I just had someone that is in Nepal. Yeah, he was on a shir before. He didn't know if he would have the internet yet. Good enough.